How's the beard? It's growing. It's going to keep going longer and longer. What's going on, everybody? So, this market... So, in today's video, we are going to do it a little bit different today. I've been asked a lot about what's going on in the market. There's a few questions that I've been asked quite a bit. I'm going to answer them, and obviously, I'm going to get into a lot of real estate and what is going on in this weird market. I say that a lot, but hey. What's going on, everybody? My name is Rene, and I run a real estate team here in Oakville and Burlington. And we're going to talk about real estate and numbers and all the stats. But before we get into it, if you haven't already subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Also, if you do like this content, please give us a thumbs up. And if you don't like what we're saying, or you do want to challenge, or there's something that maybe that you got a question that we haven't answered, please click the link in the description. And I'd love to answer anything and everything real estate. So yeah, let's get into it. We're going to talk about the stats as always and how the month of May performed versus last May. But before we get into that, I just wanted to do something a little different. And I want to talk about some questions that I constantly keep getting asked every day, one way or another, whether it's clients, family, friends, colleagues. Here we go. So the first question, it's an interesting and very hard one to answer, but everybody's asking it. So will the interest rates keep going down for the remainder of 2024? Well, again, it's a tough one to answer. I have my opinion, and I've been talking to a lot of economists and mortgage brokers and banks and reading lots of headlines. So my indication is that, yeah, it will keep dropping, whether it's in July or September or later in the year. I feel that we're going to see a few more drops, which is great news. Bank of Canada will revisit this. Obviously, they're going to keep a very close eye on inflation. So that's the one question I keep getting asked, and I keep saying I'm not a mortgage broker, I'm not an economist, but I do feel they're going to drop. Second question that I'm getting asked quite a bit is, do I buy now or later? I've been asked this for about 2 years, and my honest answer here is if you can afford to buy and you've got a reason to buy, yeah, I think buying right now is a great idea because there's so much inventory. And I'm going to get into that later about the inventory, but there's so much inventory at the moment that there are some good deals and some sellers are willing to negotiate as well, which is great. Third question I'm being asked, it's about inventory. Why is there so much inventory? I'll get into that in a minute as well and talk to you about the actual stats on that. But I have 3 reasons why I feel there's a lot of inventory in this current market. Number one, there's just less sales going on. And if we compare it to last year, we're down quite a bit in sales. So there's just inventory that's sitting a little longer. Second reason, I feel this is a good one. I feel that a lot of investors are offloading properties. And with the 66% capital gains tax that's being introduced later in June, I feel that's going to be a big thing. And I feel that a lot of investors will start offloading because no one wants to pay that extra chunk of capital gains. It's already at 50%, which is nuts. So the third one, I think that there's a lot of inventory because I feel there's people that are just struggling with their mortgages and they are selling their property and trying to maybe get into a smaller home. So there's a lot of movement in the market where people are downsizing, they're making lateral moves, they're going to different cities. I feel all these are contributing factors to inventory. The fourth question that I'm hearing a lot is, will the prices drop, and are they dropping, and should we expect them to for the remainder of the year? When I get into my stats, you're going to see why prices are not really dropping. If you look at it over the last 12 months, month to month can be a little sporadic, but I don't feel prices are going to be dropping a lot, and maybe in some pockets, but yeah, prices have been pretty resilient, and I'll get into that in just a minute. So there's those 4 questions that I've been asked. I hope they help. Now we're going to start talking about the stats and what's really going on in the market. Let's start with Oakville. So Oakville right now, an average detached home right now, give or take, is around $1,857,000. If you're looking at it in the month of May, and it's actually down 6% versus last year. If we look at townhouses, they're around 1,015,000, and they're down about 10% versus last year. Now keep in mind, this is month over month. The condos are pretty flat, and they're around 698,000. Now, if we look at Burlington's doing very good. The detached market is actually up 5%. So on average, it's around 1.5 million. That's great news for homeowners in Burlington. Townhouse, it's down 2% versus last year, and it's around 879,000. Condos are also down about 2%, which brings it to about 640,000. Now, that's year over year. I like to switch it now to how are the prices looking if you were to look at a rolling average of 12 months, which is more important. Detached homes in Oakville are actually up 2%, which it's great. It's really, really good news. Like, given everything, when you take that rolling average, it's up 2%. It's around 1.9 million. Townhouses are pretty flat in Oakville for about 1,027,000, and the condo market took a little hit over the last 12 months, which is around 663,000, which is 5% lower. If we look at Burlington, again, kudos to you. Burlington's doing well. If you look at the last 12 months for a detached in Burlington, it's up 2%, which is around 1.4 million. If we look at a townhouse in Burlington, it's around 863,000, and the condo is around 628,000, which is up 3%. So Burlington's green all around. I think that Burlington's just doing a little better than Oakville because the affordability is better than Oakville at the moment, and the price points are significantly lower. You get better bang for your buck right now in Burlington at the moment. So that's how the city stats are looking. If we look at some interesting things here, like new listings, for example, if you look at Oakville, new listings are up 24% versus last May. In Burlington, new listings are up 15%. These are big numbers, but the biggest number here is it's absolutely lucrative. This is inventory. If we look at Oakville versus last year, in Oakville, we're seeing 85% more homes, which is around 565 homes year over year, which is just nuts. In Burlington, it's 74% higher than last year, this time of the year. So 616 homes. The killer here is that the sales in Oakville, it's down 23% versus last May. And in Burlington, it's down 24%. So that's why homes are sitting a little longer. They're taking longer to sell. There's so much inventory. A lot of new listings are coming out, and it's hurting the sellers at the moment. Days on market can fluctuate. This is always a weird stat, and even though our systems are pulling about 20 days, I know there's some properties that are on the market 60, 80, 90 days in normal, great residential areas. So days on market is very, very neighborhood specific. Months of inventory, this is huge. Normally a healthy months of inventory numbers around 3 months. We're at 4 in Oakville and 3.2 in Burlington. So heavy inventory. We normally want to be around like three months of inventory, maybe 2.5 months. So that's something just based on the amount of people that are offloading their properties and trying to get it sold before capital gains. Here we go. The last 3 years, if you've lived in a home the last 3 years, I do this in all of my videos. This is a little bit interesting. It's starting to get below that number that I was hoping to be. If you look at Oakville in the last 3 years, if you've owned a detached home, when you average it out, your appreciation's about 4%. Not great, but given the situation, not bad. Townhouses, 5%. Condos, 3%. I've said in my videos, once you're below 5%, it becomes a little bit worrisome. 3% appreciation is not great, but in Oakville, I do feel it's because of the amount of new construction and new condos that are being built. If we look at Burlington, 5% for detached, 6% for townhouse, and 5% for condos. So that's still a fair, nice appreciation. And I think over the next few years, it'll get to like 6 and 7. That's a normal appreciation. So here we go. Final thoughts. I think that in this market that we're in, heading into the summer, if you're a buyer, definitely great opportunities out there. You will see lots of inventory. So get out and start negotiating, because there's a lot of sellers out there that are willing to price their home fair pricing or below market value. So good opportunities. And I know a lot of people that are struggling to get into the market. I would say if you can even just look outside of your city that you prefer and just try to get into the market, because by next year or the year after, I do feel that even if you got into a condo, the market will start to, you'll have equity. So it's a good way to start somewhere. You got to drive an extra 20, 30, 40 minutes to work because you can go afford a detached home. I mean, hey, that might make sense too. So looking outside of your norm is a good idea. Another thing, if you're a seller, I've said this before, keep in mind like how much inventory is in your neighborhood. If there's no inventory, that's a great opportunity to do it. If you've got a unique property, that's absolutely a check mark. If you've got a stunning updated home, yes. You just got to be really aware that in some pockets with heavy inventory, homes will take anywhere from 30 to 90 days in this current market. And maybe as interest rates do drop later in the year, that days on market will drop and we'll get a lot more buyers. So there's my tips and my thoughts on this market. If you're about to get into the summer months, enjoy. I think that this summer is going to be a little bit slow in terms of sales activity, but I do feel as we get into the fall market, we're going to have an amazing fall market. So thanks for watching our video. I hope you enjoyed. Again, if you did like the video, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you want to hear anything else or you've got some feedback, please click the link in the description and leave any comments. And I'd love to get back to you and talk about anything in real estate. We live here, and so should you.